Good morning, everyone. Today I will discuss mainly about the pulmonary circulation. Okay, that is blood supply to your lungs, mainly lungs, and also your tracheobronchial tree. What is the important difference between your pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation? See, the pulmonary circulation arises from your right ventricle via pulmonary aorta that marks your pulmonary circulation. And this pulmonary aorta will go into the lungs, okay, via hilum and goes into the lung parenchyma, divide into multiple branches, forming many anastomosis, forming a basket-like structure around your alveoli. Same like your systemic circulation, this also divides into smaller arteries, arterioles, pulmonary capillaries, and these pulmonary capillaries will become venules and again uh, becoming finally pulmonary vein coming out of your lung, and this pulmonary vein enters your left atrium. This we all know, and we have been studying since your 10th class and all that. This is the only circulation where the pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood. Okay, we used to study that it carries deoxygenated blood. So the only artery in our body that carries deoxygenated blood is your pulmonary artery, and the only vein that carries oxygenated blood is pulmonary vein, because in lungs the oxygenation of blood occurs. What is this oxygenation, how it occurs, we will see in the next class. So this is the right ventricular output. Pulmonary circulation receives the entire right ventricular output and it supplies only lungs. It supplies only lungs. Whereas systemic circulation, it supplies entire body, including your airways. That means tracheobronchial tree up to the conducting zone, except lungs. This is left ventricular output. What is the cardiac output? It is amount of blood pumped by each ventricle per minute. So how much it is? For both left and right ventricles, it is 5 liters. For right ventricular cardiac output, it is 5 liters per minute. And for left ventricular cardiac output, it is 5 liters per minute. But imagine, when compared to your entire body, lungs are smaller, but they receive equal amount of blood. Okay, they receive equal amount of blood. It is possible only when it has two requirements, two specificities. Okay, carefully follow this dialogue. It has a low pressure system, low blood pressure system, and low resistance system. Then only the pulmonary circulation will accommodate this entire 5-liter cardiac output, whereas that 5 liter is accommodated in your entire body. Systemic circulation is high pressure, high resistance system, right? This is a pulmonary circulation is low pressure and low resistance system. Only when there is low resistance and lower pressure, this huge amount of blood can be accommodated by the lungs, which are smaller compared to your entire body. So what is the maximum systolic pressure in your pulmonary circulation is 25 during systole. So during right ventricular systole, how much pressure is generated by right ventricle is 25. During diastole, the pressure in your pulmonary circulation is 9 millimeters of mercury, compared to your systemic circulation, where it is 120 during left ventricular systole and 80 during diastole. So mean arterial pressure is 15 mm in the entire pulmonary circulation. The mean arterial blood pressure is 15, whereas in your systemic circulation it is around 95. How this low pressure, low resistance system is achieved? Because of the high compliance of both arteries and veins. Whereas in systemic circulation, compared to pulmonary circulation, the compliance of your systemic vessels might be only 10%. Okay, compared to their compliance is 10%. And even in systemic circulation, veins have compliance more than the arteries. What is this compliance? Per unit change in pressure, how much volume change occurs, right? Same for your lungs, same for your blood vessels. So that means for same amount of blood pressure, if the volume accommodated by the pulmonary vessels, mainly arteries and veins, is very high compared to the volume accommodated for the same pressure by systemic circulation, Not only that, at this lowest pressures, for a small change in pressure, when blood is going, especially during systole, there will be increase in pressure in your blood vessels. So what happens in pulmonary circulation is, because of their higher compliance, they will dilate and accommodate more and more blood volume, both arteries and veins. Okay, in systemic circulation, arteries have very less compliance. That's why they have high resistance. That's why they require high blood pressure. For the blood to flow in the arteries, they require higher blood pressures. Why? Because of their low compliance and high resistance. Similarly, it has lower resistance. The vascular resistance of your pulmonary circulation is hardly 10% of your systemic circulation. Your GK Paul has given the entire matter excellently with simple explanation. That is more than enough. Okay, for your exam competencies, just go through the textbook. Okay, after listening this class. So, how pulmonary circulation can accommodate 5 liters of right ventricular cardiac output is, it is a low pressure, high compliance, low resistance. This you should remember forever. It is a low pressure, high compliance and low resistance system. So what is the function of this pulmonary circulation? What is the function of your systemic circulation? It supplies oxygen to your tissues, remove carbon dioxide from tissue, same gas exchange at the tissues, giving the oxygen, taking carbon dioxide. It also carry nutrients, it carry metabolic waste to and away from the tissues. So what are the functions of pulmonary circulation? It also carries nutrients to your lungs, and most importantly gas exchange. Where this gas exchange occurs? At your respiratory membrane, alveolar pulmonary capillary interface. That is nothing but your respiratory membrane. How much it is thick? 0.2 to 0.5 microns thickness, respiratory membrane. You should remember the membrane, the Fick's law of diffusion there, and the layers of your respiratory membrane. What gas exchange occurs? Mainly we talk about oxygen and carbon dioxide. From the alveolar air, oxygen will enter the pulmonary capillary, and from pulmonary capillary, carbon dioxide has to leave into the alveolar air. Similarly, lungs remove most of the thromboemboli, means clot. Thrombo is small clots formed in your blood, and they form emboli. Emboli is the blockage. So your pulmonary circulation is the major site. Because of these relaxed blood vessels, mostly they will not get affected by this thromboemboli, and they are having highly your plasminogen system, which will remove your thromboemboli, plasminogen system, thrombolytic system. So where your emboli are removed. What happens is emboli reaches systemic circulation, especially if they reach cerebral blood vessels or coronary blood vessels, they will block. Okay, they will block, causing stroke if it is cerebral blood vessels, or else myocardial ischemia if they block your coronary blood vessels. So most of the thromboemboli are mainly removed in your pulmonary circulation because they have relaxed blood vessels. They will not block the smaller capillaries. Until unless the thromboemboli size is severe and more thromboemboli are formed, most of the thromboemboli physiologically they are removed by your lungs. And most importantly, this is the major site for conversion of your angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. All blood vessels have angiotensin convertase enzyme on their surface. Okay, all blood vessels have angiotensin convertase enzyme on their surface, but this is abundant in pulmonary circulation. Especially 94% of your total ACE is on your pulmonary capillary and pulmonary blood vessels surface, where it converts decapeptide angiotensin 1 to octapeptide angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 is the active form which causes so many functions. Okay, it itself is vasoconstrictor, it increases GFR, all those things you already know. So your coronavirus, they say that the protein structure shares the protein structure of ACE. So the antibodies produced against this coronavirus are also attacking your own pulmonary circulation ACE. This is one of the theory how it is causing the pathology. There are many theories now, but it also shares common antigen with ACE, they are saying. And it is a blood reservoir. At any point of time, Okay, there is 1 liter of blood in your pulmonary vessels. In GK ball they gave 500 ml. It can be 500 ml to 1 liter. So any point of time it is a blood reservoir, especially during injuries. This hemorrhage, this blood is useful for the systemic circulation. How it can store this much blood? Because of the high compliance of its blood vessels. So pulmonary vessels, we can divide them into two types, mainly the extra alveolar and alveolar. Simple alveolar vessels are surrounding the alveoli. They are arterioles, pulmonary capillaries. These are the most important structures we need to discuss. Okay, capillaries. This is where the gas exchange occurs. Arterioles will give capillaries. Capillaries will give venules. These three structures surround the alveoli. So they are under the effect of alveolar pressures. Okay, so that's why we call them as alveolar vessels. Then extra alveolar vessels, which are outside the lung tissue, means the alveolar tissue, but they are within the pleural cavity and thoracic cavity. So the moment pulmonary artery coming from the right ventricle and going into the hilum, until unless it is becoming arterioles into the lung tissue proper, it is completely under the intrapleural pressure values. Intrathoracic pressure values are surrounding your pulmonary artery, starting from the moment it leaves the heart till it becomes arterioles. Okay, from arterioles onwards, these will be under the effect of alveolar pressures. But whereas pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins leaving the lung tissue carrying oxygenated, they are also under the effect of intrathoracic pressure, that is intrapleural pressure. You can imagine that they are outside the lung tissue, just outside the alveolar interfaces, alveolar structures, but under the pleura and also in the thoracic cavity, where we always measure intrapleural pressures. So the most special feature is low pressure, low resistance, highly compliant. They are thin walled, highly compliant. The muscular content of your pulmonary vessels is very less. That's why it can accommodate 5 liters of your cardiac output. It has very low resistance and it has less constriction ability also. Your systemic vessels, they constrict easily. They undergo collapse easily. They constrict very rapidly because of the abundance of muscles, smooth muscle, especially in your smaller arteries and meta-arterioles, which are the highest site of resistance. Smaller arteries, meta-arterioles, highest site of resistance in your systemic circulation. Whereas these have less muscle structures, less constriction ability and lower resistance. They mainly form lattice around the alveoli. See, alveoli are like bunch of grapes. Around these grapes, they form a lattice, especially the alveolar vessels, like the arterioles, giving rise to pulmonary capillaries, and that continues as venules. So the alveolar pressure, if it is greater than the capillary pressure, then what happens? This can compress the capillaries and capillaries can collapse. So they are under the pressure control of alveolar pressures. So that we'll see in next slides. So what are the factors that affect pulmonary circulation? Any circulation, these factors are common. First two factors are common. One is the vascular resistance and gravity. Then alveolar pressure also affect the pulmonary circulation. I told you, if alveolar pressure increases more than the pressure inside your capillaries. Let's say we calculate transmural pressure for capillaries. How can we calculate transmural pressure for the capillary? Pressure inside the capillary, that can be in your mean arterial pressures, and pressure inside the alveoli. This pressure inside the capillary minus pressure outside the capillary. Pressure outside the capillary is nothing but your alveolar pressure. So that gives you transmural pressure for capillaries. If this is more than the pressure inside capillaries, what happens? Transmural pressures will become negative. If it is positive, that is a descending pressure, and if it is negative, this will collapse. By this time, you know transmural pressures, I already discussed so many times. So capillaries, pulmonary capillaries, simply remember that they are under the alveoli, and if alveolar pressure increases, they can collapse. So that's how alveolar pressure also affects the pulmonary capillaries. Similarly, in tissues also, if the tissue pressure increases, especially in edematous condition, when the tissue pressure increases, the capillaries in the tissues also can be compressed. That happens only when there is gross edema and severe tissue enlargement. And also the arterial to venous pressure gradient. This is common, right? Any circulation, it depends on this arterial to venous pressure gradient. The more the pressure gradient, that is, the more the arterial venous pressure gradient, more will be the circulation. We mainly discuss about these two things: pulmonary vascular resistance and gravity, how they affect pulmonary circulation. Already told you, it is only 1/10 of the systemic vascular resistance. Why? They are thin walled, they are shorter, they are wider. They are thin walled, shorter and wider. They are having high compliance. Even resting vasoconstrictor tone, okay, this is very high in your blood vessels. Blood vessels have mainly your extensive sympathetic supply, where their sympathetic tone has a continuous vasoconstrictor tone in your blood vessels. That is reason for its highest diastolic blood pressure. Diastolic blood pressure mainly depends on two things: afterload and viscosity. Afterload mainly depends on your vascular resistance. Okay, afterload mainly depends on your vascular resistance. Why your diastolic blood pressure is 80 mm? Out of this 80 mm, major contributor is your vascular, systemic vascular resistance, which increases your afterload. Even during diastole, the pressure has to be 80 mm so that blood will flow in your systemic circulation. Whereas what is the diastolic blood pressure in your pulmonary circulation? It is only 9 mm. Compared to 80 mm, 9 mm is only 1/10. So this small pressure is required, is enough to drive the blood flow in the pulmonary vessels during diastole, right? You already know this concept that even during systole and diastole, blood will move in the circulation. It's not that during systole blood will move and during diastole blood will stop.